So the assignment brief. So be careful, remember that when you look at the assignment, this is all that is technically required. So when we are going to mark this, we are going to look at these things. So there are all these features that you get test for implementing it. Yes, for displaying the list of user use paging. Use array slices for it. And then put some nice way of using your IDs. You can also just get the first X elements or something like that from your list. If you store it as a list, it's fairly easy to get a slice. You have been doing that in your exercises. So the back end, so basically is there to have these functionalities related to the front end. So we have kind of sort of some implementation, get single users and get list users. That's how you go about that. The styling, yes, you can use your own one. You can. So there is this professional approach. So there is the bit about the journal. The journal is also about your exercises. And yes, these exercises do help you with your assignment. If you didn't do them, you'd better at least have a look through them to make sure that you didn't miss anything. So yes, there's no more Viva as you surmised. Hopefully, you so we need your zip with all your application code. So one of the things to remember is when we look at this, the backend does not require a database. A good way of looking at so. And there are some bits where say, why are we doing things in a certain way? But that's because we need to assess these learning outcomes. So we need to make sure that we measure somehow that you can work with multiple languages. That's why we have Python for the backend and JavaScript for the front end. HTML and CSS, are they programming languages? Not necessarily. But JavaScript and Python are certainly. Then, so yes, doing it in a correct way is always important. Not only because, let's say, the reason is never because it makes you look professional. No, why do professionals do this? Because it makes your code better. Ethical means that you actually have something that will actually follow not only the current law, but the new laws as well. Graphical interface, you have your JavaScript application, etc. So for questions, again, like I put in the notes, the announcement yesterday, if there's a question questions that can benefit some other students, Piazza is a very good way of asking those questions. If you want to know what's the rules of the assignment, use Piazza, because then we can answer those questions in a way that other students can just read these answers. It means we give you better answers, and we also get to scale our effort in a better way, so we can spend more time on helping students for the individual problems that they have. Like if it doesn't work, like the bugs I had here. Okay, why doesn't it work? Why doesn't it work? We help you with those errors. Experience really helps with that. And try not to use emails or private messages on Teams. We do, of course, if we say, okay, yeah, contact me on private on Teams, that's fine. But if you just have a regular question, try to use Teams. And if you want Teams, another issue, try to be clear in your questions. I see a lot of questions like, I have a problem with my backend. That doesn't really help us to know what the problem is or where you have a problem. It also doesn't help us to have an estimate of how long it will take to answer you. We have a short question with a short answer that satisfies you, obviously, that helps you. that makes it easier for us to actually be able to quickly go in and, okay, I know I have a quick answer to that question. Whereas if a student says, can you help? I need someone to help me with a question. We don't know if it will take 5 minutes or an hour. Sometimes I go and have a quick look and say, okay, I have 5 minutes, but I don't have an hour. Especially for people that are not taking the particular time. And use the @app tag in the virtual P201 so that the demonstrators on app get notified that there is a message. So if they are not looking at it, they will still see the notification. Then an important part of the brief, so the help and support is standard. An important part of that is the marking criteria. This is what we are going to be using. And when we look at this, you can see that there is 10% of the marks goes to the styling. So do you follow the principles? And within those range, then we can say, okay, so what this says, okay, you follow 3 PARC principles and you applied it effectively. But within those range, there is a qualitative difference. So do you do it well or marginally? That is where the difference between, say, 65 and an 80 lives. Same with the other criteria. So there is some degree of quality part in the criterion as well, but also how many elements of functionality did you implement? This is, so it says indicative here. Indicative means that if you kind of, things like, okay, I don't have a front end, or I don't have a back end, or I basically, you didn't have, if you don't have a front end, there's no CSS. We can't mark your CSS because there's no front end. At that point, we can say, okay, yeah, well, we need to give it a fair mark. But for the vast majority of assignments, we expect you to read us to follow this exactly. Certainly the breakdown and the marking, the ranges. So this is very good, helpful for you to understand where do you actually get marks for. A lot of questions like, can I use SQL? Can I use this? Can I use that? Yes, you can, but be aware that the marks that you get for that are going to be in the qualitative range. Oh, you did some extra features. Yes, you get a bit of extra marks. But make sure first that you actually have your functionality elements implemented, because they are going to be a leading point in the marks. So spend your effort wisely in relation to where you can actually get marks.